It's Friday, March 15th, and I just saw a press release on NAR's website announcing a potential settlement agreement related to the Sitzer-Burnett trial outcome and related commission complaints. You can find a link to the press release on NAR's website and on CAR's website if you want to read the whole thing. I'll just skim through it because there's a lot of fluff, but there are some key elements that are important and may change how we practice as agents. So it says National Association of Realtors reaches agreement to resolve nationwide claims brought by home sellers. This first paragraph is basically some background that NAR is announcing an agreement. It would end litigation of claims brought on behalf of home sellers related to broker commissions and resolve claims against NAR and over 1 million NAR members. Now the settlement down here is subject to court approval, and NAR denies any wrongdoing and would pay $418 million over approximately 4 years. So the first thing that comes to mind is, will there be special assessments on member dues or an increase? I mean, NAR is a nonprofit at the end of the day, so the money has to come from somewhere. This next paragraph is basically just fluff about how noble NAR is. We move on. Two critical achievements of this resolution are the release of most NAR members and many industry stakeholders from liability. Okay, so release of liability. NAR also secured in the agreement a mechanism for nearly all brokerage entities that had a residential transaction volume in 2022 that exceeded $2 billion. Okay, so that's just the biggest companies in the US. And MLS is not wholly owned by realtor associations to obtain releases efficiently if they choose to use it. I don't even know what this means. To obtain releases efficiently if they choose to use it. It's not the best written sentence. I'm not sure what it means, but I don't have over $2 billion in transaction volume, so don't care that much. It doesn't pertain to me. I guess we'll get more information on what this means, but you can read it yourself, and if it makes more sense to you, please leave a comment. Obtain releases efficiently if they choose to use it. Okay, all right, moving on. NAR fought to include all its members, okay, great, except for Home Services of America, so Berkshire Hathaway Home Services America, formerly known as Prudential. The last corporate defendant's still litigating because they're still litigating the Sitzer-Burnett case, okay? Now, here's where it gets interesting. In addition to financial payment, NAR has agreed to put in place a new MLS rule prohibiting offers of broker compensation on the MLS. So that would remove cooperating broker compensation from MLS listings. This would mean that offers of broker compensation could not be communicated via the MLS, but they could continue to be an option consumers can pursue off MLS through negotiation and consultation with real estate professionals. Okay, so this may change very quickly how we negotiate commissions as buyer's agents when we write an offer. So let's assume that commissions are going to be removed from the MLS. Using the tools we have right now, this means on every offer we would be including a CBC form, cooperating broker compensation, or somewhere we'd state in writing exactly how much we want, how much we expect as a buyer's agent to be compensated. So there's going to have to be some standardized protocol where and it could even be built in an offer in the future where there's a section where there's an agent commission request. But as it stands now with the current tools, if this was implemented immediately, then we would be submitting an offer with the CBC form. The rest of this paragraph just talks about why offers of compensation have been great historically. There's a lot of fluff here because, again, NAR doesn't think they did anything wrong, and I agree with them. I think this is all nonsense, but perception resounds more than reality, unfortunately, and if you can convince people that there was something going on with commissions, then this is the state of things now, so we have to make do. Okay, there's another rule. Further, NAR has agreed to enact a new rule that would require MLS participants working with buyers to enter into written agreements with their buyers. And we've known this because you hear MLSs and the boards, and even on my videos, everyone that's been watching this has been pushing buyer representation agreements because this whole commission thing has been up in the air, and it's been very likely that a listing broker can't offer commission like they did historically. There cannot be an implication where the seller is automatically going to pay the buyer's agent commission. So what does this mean? Agents will need to have a buyer representation agreement with their buyers, buyer broker agreement. And it says here, NAR continues, as it has done for years, to encourage its members to use buyer brokerage agreements to help consumers understand exactly what services and value they will be provided and for how much. I think that's good. I think there should be buyer broker agreements signed with buyers. Buyers discard agents very, very quickly and mistreat them in many cases, in my opinion. Buyers agents get exploited on a regular basis, and I've seen that since I've been licensed for over 20 years. These changes will go into effect mid-July 2024. Okay. So coming to you this summer. So get familiar with the buyer representation agreement and expect to send a cooperating broker compensation agreement with your offer, because that will need to be negotiated. It looks at this point very likely that MLSs will not be posting cooperating broker compensation. Ultimately, continuing to litigate would have hurt members. Okay, yeah, we get it. I mean, we understand why you went into a settlement. I mean, they're facing a gigantic fine, so a judgment against them. So a settlement, of course, would be a discount. And then the rest is just all about NAR, NAR's mission, who they are, how great they are, etc. So the big takeaway is the MLS removing cooperating broker compensation and realtors being required to have a buyer representation agreement with all buyers. I don't think that's a bad thing. This actually could be good. And for consumers, I know this whole thing is all about protecting the sellers that were exploited by paying buyer's agent commissions. Well, that's nonsense. But this actually could be a double-edged sword and have a positive effect on how we work with buyers as professionals, and how we have a professional conversation where we set boundaries with buyers and explain to them that they must sign this representation agreement if we're to go work on their behalf. That way, we're not driving around, showing homes, spending money on dues, MLS access, lockbox access, gas, insurance, whatever expenses you incur to show homes to a buyer that will discard you without even thinking twice about it to go with another agent that they just met at an open house. So this could have some positive repercussions for agents and how we set our professional boundaries in the industry. Anyway, I'd love to hear any feedback you have. Tell me what I missed. I mean, I just skimmed through this after a first glance. I'd love to hear your feedback. Leave a comment. Thank you for watching.